Tataha Utkushtaha Vishvedevaha. But mind is an insignificant entity in that sense. Then there are devatas called Vishvedevaha. All these Vishvedevas are there. They are great devatas. They are also Ananta, means they are also endless in terms of their pervasiveness, etc. Anantaha iti Anantatva Samyat. So in Vishvedeva also there is Anantyam. In the mind also there is Anantyam. Although Anantyam is of different kinds. Like Linga also has some formlessness. And Lord Shiva also is formless. That kind of sadrusha is there. Or that Shaligrama is black. And Lord Vishnu also is dark. There is some samya is there. So some kind of a sadrusham or similarity is required. Lord Ganesha has a big belly, represents the whole Brahman, the whole cosmos. And so many features. They also represent the Brahman, the Saguna Brahma or Nirguna Brahma also. So some sadrusha or similarity must be there between the Alambana and that which we want to meditate upon. So here in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad there is this upasana that may you meditate upon mind as Vishwadeva. May you superimpose the concept of Vishwadeva upon the mind because there is similarity between the two in terms of Anantyam, in terms of their being limitless. Iti Anantatva Samyat Vishvedevaha eva manaha iti sampat. So this mind itself is Vishwadeva. Not even then, you look upon mind itself is Vishwadeva. And in that process the mind is forgotten and Vishwadevas are meditated upon. So identity between mind and Vishwadeva. So Abheda Dhyanam. The meditation of the identity between. So you are actually looking at mind and you are thinking of what? Vishwadeva. This mind itself is Vishwadeva. Why? Anantatvat. And then that Anantyam becomes so predominant in your mind that mind itself gets forgotten. And that Vishwadeva alone, they occupy your mind. When this kind of thing happens, it is called Sampadupasana. Taya Anantaphala Praptir Bhavati. And by that Upasana, Anantaphala Praptir Bhavati, you get endless result, whatever. That is what the Upanishad says. Tatha Chetanatva Samyat Jive Brahma Vedaha Sampaditi Nacha Ityartha. Okay, then we have to read this Nacha business. So Tatha Chetanatva Samyat. So then they say Aham Brahmasmi. Then upon Aham, which is Atma, may you look upon Atma as Brahma. That's all. May you look upon Aham as Brahma. There is a Samya. What is similarity? Chetanatvam. That Aham also is conscious and Brahma also is consciousness, except Aham is a limited consciousness and Brahma is limitless consciousness. But then consciousness is there. And therefore, may you look upon Aham as Brahma. And forget Aham. And then meditate only on Brahman. That's what ultimately happens. This would be called Sampadupasana. So, Chetanatva Samyat Jive Brahma Veda Sampaditi Nacha Ityartha. This kind of a thing is not intended. That's the idea there. That's what Bhashyakara said here. The last line of page 156. Nacha idam brahmatmaikatva vijnanam sampadrupam yatha anantam vai manaha ananta vishve devaha anantameva salotena lokam jayati iti. Nachaidam brahmatmaikatva vijnanam sampadrupam. And don't think that this knowledge of the identity of Brahma and Atma is the nature of sampadupasana. Yatha, just as anandam vai manaha. This comes from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. There also Yajnavalkya iti hovacha katibhi ayam adya brahma yajnam dakshinatah devatabhi gopayate iti. This is a dialogue in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad where one Pandita or one priest whose name is Ashvala, he is asking the Ashvala, the priest is asking Yajnavalkya. Yajnavalkya, hey Yajnavalkya, iti hovacha. He said, Ashvala said, hey Yajnavalkya, katibhi ayam adya brahma. When you perform a yaga, then there is a presiding priest who is known as Brahma. as you said, there are Rigvedic priests and Yajurveda, Samaveda, all the priests are there, and there is a priest who supervises the whole proceeding, who does not participate in the proceeding, but who knows everything thoroughly, so that he guides them wherever necessary. So, Ayam Adya Brahma, Katibhi Devatabhi, with the help of how many devatas? Dakshinataha, seated on the right, Yajnam Gopayati. This Brahma protects the Yajna. By how many devatas? This is what Ashvala asks Yajnavalkya. Ekaya iti. Then Yajnavalkya says, by one devata. That Brahma protects this Yajna by how many devatas? Ekaya, by one devata. Iti. Katama sa eka. Which is that devata? Iti. Manah eva. Yajnavalkya says, mind is that devata. So, with the mind alone, the Brahma does not do anything, the priest does not do anything, and still he makes sure that everything goes well. And how does he do? By his very knowledge in his mind. And that is how mind is so important. That is how mind is first praised. Manaheveti anantam. Manaheveti anantam vai manah. Ananta vishvedevaha. Anantameva satena lokam jayati. And then Yajnavalkya says this vakya. Anantam vai manaha, the mind is anantam. Mind is, there is no end because their vrittis are just endless. Anantaha Vishvedevaha, the Vishvedeva also are infinite in the relative sense. Anantameva saten lokam jayati. Therefore, when one looks upon mind as Vishvedevaha, by this method, then one also attains Ananta lokam, means that endless or expansive loka one attains. So this is Sampadupasana, where mind is looked upon as Vishvedeva. Don't think that Aham Brahmasmi is Sampadupasana, that Aham is to be looked upon as Brahma. There is not the idea there. Aham is actually Brahma. This is what Bhashyakara says here. See, look down that Purnanandya. Aikya Jnanasya Apramatvam Sadhaituhu Shankituhu Vedantanam Sampadadirupa Visheshopasana Vidupatvam Syadhi Abhipraya. Aikya Jnanasya Apramatvam Sadhaituhu Shankituhu. The Shankituhu. That Shankituhu means the fellow is questioning this. He wants to show that Aikya Jnanam is not the valid knowledge. Vedantanam Sampadadirupa Visheshopasana Vidupatvam Syad. And that can only happen when all those statements that appear to be revealing identity are actually intended as vidhi or injunction for upasana. Ida abhipraya. This is what Shankitu says. Siddhantinastu sampadadinam aharya aropa rupanam visheshopasanavatvam angikritya apramatvena ajnana anivartakatvad rupa ananta doshad na tatparatvam vedantanam iti kutahalaga avakasha. Siddhanti says, Sampadadinam aharyaropa rupanam. The aharya is what? Knowingly you superimpose. That's called aharya jnana. For example, an actor, knowingly he says, I am a beggar. You know, when an actor is acting as a beggar, he knows he is not the beggar. And even then, he deliberately superimposes the idea of a beggar upon himself. Similarly, also, so kamayata, the Lord desired to create this world. Why should there be desire in Lord who is complete? This is called aharya jnanam. He just took himself to be an individual and then entertained a desire. Because desire cannot be unless a sense of individuality is. That sense of individuality, assumed individuality. So in Sampadupasana also you know that this is only a piece of stone. But then you know that the mind is not Vishvedeva and still you superimpose that. So that is knowingly the superimposition is there. This adhyasa, ahamidam mamayadam iti, that is born of ignorance because it is unknowingly done. But in upasana, knowingly the superimposition is done. That is called aharya jnanam. So there is a badha actually. The beggar is actually dismissed in his mind and still he claims himself to be a beggar. This is called aharya jnanam. Sampadadinam aharya aropa rupanam, where this kind of an aropa is done. That is the nature of sampada upasana. Visheshopasana angikritya. We accept that there are special kinds of upasanas where aharyatvam is there and where identity is there, so this we accept that it is a special kind of upasana. Apramattvena, but it is not prama. That also involves superimposition. Ajnana anivartakatvam. Therefore, this kind of brahmajnanam cannot eliminate ajnanam. So you will never know that the mind actually is Vishvedeva in what you are looking upon mind as Vishvedeva. Mind happens to be a Brahman, alright, but not as mind. Mind also, there is adhisthana rupatvena, mind also is Brahman, but not adhyarupena. So mind as name and form or limited entity is not Brahman, but mind by way of the fact that it is only Sat and Chit in its content, that way it is Brahman. So that is how you have to know mind as Brahman, namely the content of mind is Brahman. But to take the mind as it appears as Brahman is mithya jnana. So upasana actually focuses attention on what appears, while tattva jnanam focuses attention on what is the content. That's the difference here. So then you may also say that this Shaligrama is Vishnu. But that Vishnu is not Chaturbhuja. What is Vishnu? Asti Bhati Priyam. Veveshti the Vishnu. That which is all pervasive. Asti Bhati Priyam. And that way the Shaligrama also is Vishnu. Then it will be knowledge. But look upon Shaligrama as Vishnu, having a particular characteristic would be what? You deliberately superimpose that idea, and that will never remove the ignorance of Shaligrama that it is Brahma in its content. Ajnana anivartakatvadi rupa ananta doshat na tatparatvam. There are so many doshas that are involved in mithya jnanam. So na tatparatvam vedantanam. So we cannot say that Vedantas are only teaching mithya jnanam. That's what it amounts to. If Aham Brahma and all of these statements are interpreted as Upasana, then that's all Vedanta is teaching. So what is Vedanta teaching? Only superimposition or Upasana. Mithya Jnanam is what it is teaching. You can't say that Vedantas have pravrutti in Mithya Jnanam. So even if you have to say that there are two kinds of statements in Vedanta, one of the statements pertaining to Upasana and other are the statements pertaining to the knowledge, we have to accept that. It will be easier to say that all of the statements are of one category, but we cannot say that. And therefore, kuto laga avakasha, just to make things simple, you cannot just twist and turn those things. Pramanika gauravasya adoshatvat. Even gauravam, if too many factors are there, each of the factor is necessary and valid, then you have to accept gauravam. For the sake of brevity, you cannot oversimplify a thing and then get totally misguided. Sometimes oversimplification misguides people. So you need not oversimplify. If some complication is necessary to clarify, then to make it accurate, then you have to accept it. So that Gauravam also gives us the result. There is a purpose behind that Gauravam. Then it's so. Pramane Gauravasya adoshatvat tathacha ekatva jnanam pramatmakatmaiva na sampadadi the abhipraya. And therefore, ekatva jnanam, the identity, the knowledge of identity of Brahma and Atma is pramarupam. Is not mithya jnanam, is pramarupam. And na sampadadi rupam, not of the nature of sampada, etc. Says alparamanaiti manasi alpatva buddhi tiraskarena manastva buddhi tiraskarena va utkrishta vishvedeva abheda dhyanam sambadityartha. That mind is alpa or insignificant. That insignificance of the mind is forgotten or is given up, and mind itself is looked upon as Vishvedeva, who are significant and vast. Mind is not vast, mind is small, but smallness of the mind is given up, and mind alone is looked upon as Vishvedeva, who are vast or large. Or manastva buddhi tiraskar. Either alpatva in the mind is given up, or mind itself is forgotten, and Vishvedeva alone then are meditated upon. Utkrishta Vishvedeva Bheda Dhyanam Sampadityartha. This is called Sampad. Etacha Bheda Jnana Purvakat Na Pramayati Bhavaha. There is a knowledge that mind is not Vishvedeva, and still you are meditating upon mind as Vishvedeva. Therefore, this kind of Sampad is not Prama, is not Tattva Jnanam, is Mithya Jnanam. Evam Uttaratra Vijnayam. Similarly, later on, Bhashyakara is going to give 3 more illustrations of this kind of upasanas, and then everywhere this deliberate superimposition is involved, and therefore it cannot be Prama, it is only Mithya Jnanam. And you cannot say that Vedanta are only preaching Mithya Jnanam. The purpose of Vedanta is to teach only valid knowledge, because it is Pramanam. Pramanam should only give you valid knowledge. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sūtra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeri Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Atha Om Atha Om Atha Vayat. Page 156. Chaidam Brahmatmaikatva Vijnanam Sampadrupam Yatha Anantam Vai Manaha Ananta Vishve Devaha Anantameva Satena Lokam Jayati Iti. Now Bhashyakara is saying here how this knowledge, Aham Brahma, is not of the nature of upasana or meditation, where different prakara, the different kinds of meditation are going to mention here. First is sampad, another one is called pratika, and then third, as it is pointed out here, is vishishta kriya, yoga, and then samskaranam. So different kinds of mental actions or meditations are pointed out here. One is sampad. There also meditation is going to require looking up this upasana, is going to require looking at one thing as something other than what it is. Thus superimposing something upon something is what is going to involve, is going to be involved in an upasana. There are slight differences. In sampad upasana, the alambana is there, and upon that, so something nikrushta is there, upon that something utkrishta is superimposed, and in that meditation there is a tiraskara, or giving up of that nikrushta, the alambana, and filling up the mind with utkrishta. So what is it? Mana anantam vai manaha ananta vishve devaha. That mind also is infinite, and vishve devas are also infinite. So all the devatas are infinite. Mind is infinite because it has infinite thought forms, and devatas are also infinite, let us say. So infiniteness is a common aspect, sadrusham, because of which you can superimpose a devatatma upon the mind. So looking upon the mind as vishve devas, looking upon every thought of the mind as a devata, let us say. And then forgetting the mind, saturating your mind with the idea of vishve devas, mind is essentially forgotten and vishve devas remain, as the object of meditation. So either mind itself is looked upon as devatas, or with the help of the mind you meditate upon the devatas. But devatas predominate your mind and not the mind. In this is the upasana which is called sampad upasana. Next will be mano brahmetyupasita, that mind is Brahman. And something about mind and Brahman is common there. Bruhatvad Brahma, mind also is pervasive and Brahma is all pervasive in that sense. Or mind as Chetanatvam, it illumines or shines, and Brahma also illumines. So seeing that common aspect, you may look upon mind as Brahman. Here, however, it is mind which is predominantly what remains in your mind and not Brahman. So, there in the pratika upasana, the importance is of pratika. In the sampad upasana, the importance is of adhyaropita. So in one case there is adhishthanam, which is called pratika or alambana. And then there is adhyaropa, that which is superimposed. So says, aropya pradhana sampat adhisthana pradhano adhyasa heti. Aropya pradhana sampat. Sampat is a form of meditation where aropya, that which is superimposed, is predominant. And adhisthana pradhana adhyasa hai. Adhyasa or pratika upasana is there where that adhisthana, that alambram has predominance. This is the... So, sometimes the form remains important to you and the qualities are less important. Sometimes that form is not important, the attributes are important. You forget the form and dwell upon the glories, or retain the form and then the glories become of secondary importance. Depends on the mind, depends on your disposition. This is how the upasana takes place. So in each case some adhyaropa is involved, but the manner in which the meditation is performed just differentiates one from the other, that's all. Okay, so this is what we studied last time. Says Ratnaprabha, alambana tiraskarena utkrishta vastu bheda dhyanam sampad. Alambana tiraskarena, says Purnanandiya, manasi alpatva buddhi tiraskarena manasva buddhi tiraskarena va. So normally mind is alpa, insignificant. That alpatva buddhi which is there in the mind, that is given up, and mind itself is looked upon as great, as all the devatas. Or manasva buddhi tiraskarena va. Or that manastvam, that mind is an entity, that buddhi goes away and that is replaced by the Vishvedeva. Either way, utkrishta Vishvedeva deva abheda dhyanam sampadityartha. So there is an abheda, a oneness between mind and Vishvedeva. And that kind of meditation is called sampadupasana. So there also abheda is there, except that abheda or non-duality is superimposed. So they are saying here that aham Brahma, I am Brahma is also abheda. And why not? That the abheda or the non-duality between aham and Brahma be similar to the non-duality between Manaha and Vishvedeva. Why not? So he said, so etaccha bheda jnana purokat na pramayati bhavaha. However, there is a knowledge that mind is not Vishvedeva. Otherwise you don't have to meditate. You don't have to take this flower and say, this is jasmine, jasmine. You don't have to meditate. It is jasmine. So when you are looking at the thing as it is, no effort is required on your part because jnanam is vastu tantram and everything reveals itself as it is. You don't have to make any effort. But karma is purusha tantram. If you want to look upon this as rose for whatever reason, in that case it is your effort. And therefore you have to keep on making effort. This is rose, this is rose, this is rose. Either you insist that this is rose, or you try to see something in this flower which has something which is similar, which is common to rose, and that is how, focusing your attention on the common aspect, forgetting the uncommon aspects, you meditate. So, something in here enables you to meditate upon something else, but that meditation, upasana being karma, is purusha tantram, and therefore effort is required. Whereas looking upon this as jasmine is vastu tantram, and therefore no effort is required. So knowledge is effortless, where upasana is effortful. So aham Brahma is effortless, whereas mano brahmetyupasita, mind is Brahman, this involves a self-effort, because mind is not Brahman. And then, at least you think it is not Brahman. So when we say mind is not Brahman, that means that I have a certain idea about Brahman. Whenever I look upon Brahman as Vishishtam, as possessed of certain qualities, certain attributes, certain glories, then alone I fail to appreciate mind as Brahman. And so I say mind is not Brahman, in which case, according to me, Brahman is all pervasive, Brahman is omniscient, Brahman is whatever. Meaning it is Saguna Brahma. So upasana is always possible with reference to Saguna Brahma, always with reference to Devata or deity or the object of meditation which is with attribute. Because the alambram or the aid with which you are meditating, with that there is some sadrusya or similarity with that which is meditated, and therefore some quality this alambana has, which quality is possessed by what is meditated upon, and therefore what is meditated upon, the upasya vishaya must be savishesha or saguna. Whereas here, aham brahma, aham also is nirguna, Brahma also is nirguna. If Brahman is known as saguna, if Brahman is known as with some attributes, it can never be known as aham, understand? If Brahman is known as all pervasive or omniscient, omnipotent, meaning possessed of some attribute, then your mind has to always to exert itself. To perceive, try to perceive all pervasiveness, the mind has to exert. To try to perceive omniscience, omnipotent or whatever it is, there is always some exertion required because mind cannot apprehend that. And therefore, that aham can never be all pervasive, omniscient, omnipotent. Aham is pure and simple awareness. And therefore, if Brahman also is known as pure and simple awareness, then alone it can be known as aham. And not Brahman, that is Jagat Karanam as such, in a primary sense. In a secondary sense, Brahma is Jagat Karanam. So, omniscience, omnipotent, Jagat Karanatvam, in secondary sense are in Brahman. In primary sense, they are all in Maya or Upadhi. So definitely at the level of Upadhi, there is no identity between Jiva and Brahma. Only at the essential level. When I know the self, if I know myself as having any kind of an individuality, that self can never be one with Brahman. So that self can be meditated upon as a Devata. That aham, which is with attribute, can be looked upon as Devata with an attribute. So even when this aham Brahma, I am Brahman, that statement is interpreted as upasana, then it is aham with some attribute, like pervasive, as it will say, bruhatva. I also has pervasiveness with reference to body, and Brahman has pervasiveness with reference to whole universe. And looking upon that pervasiveness, you superimpose the idea of Brahma upon I. But in any case, that meditation also is going to involve some attribute. So only when aham is looked upon as attribute, then alone it can become the locus of meditation. But aham, when it is known in its true nature, then no meditation is necessary because aham happens to be pure and simple awareness, and Brahman also in its essence is pure and simple awareness. And that is what is revealed by aham brahmasmi. And therefore, no effort is involved there. However, effort will be involved as long as I think aham is with attribute, then Brahma or Ishvara also is with attribute, in which case an effort of meditation or worship is involved. Okay. Chetanatva samya jive brahma veda sampaditi nacha ityartha. And similarly also, you may want chetana samya, that aham also is chetanam, Brahma also is chetanam, and therefore you may want to meditate upon aham as Brahma with predominance of Brahma, chetanata. That is not what is meant by aham brahmasmi. So understand, again the purpose of taking up this Purva Paksha and discussion is to clarify the meaning of aham brahmasmi. What does it mean? Aham brahmasmi, that statement, what does it mean? That is what is meant to be clarified here. With the help of a Purva Paksha, that what possible other interpretations can be there, they are taken and they happen to be there. There are people who hold those interpretations. Therefore, we take them as particular people. If such people were not there, then also we may have taken up this for discussion anyway. In which case it was just Purva Paksha. Somebody says, or it may be like this. However, there happen to be people who hold this view, therefore we address those specific people. But here the whole idea is, what is the meaning of the statement, aham brahmasmi? It is not sampad. So, when you look upon manaha as Vishvedeva, there is a knowledge that Vishvedeva is not manaha. And still you are doing it. Here, that abheda jnanam is not there. Abheda jnanam is there. Then continuing Ratna Prabha, alambana pradhanyena dhyanam pratikopastha adhyasah. Next one. So alambanasya pradhanyena or alambana pradhanyena. Where alambanam or that locus, that pratika is pradhanam, meaning predominant. That kind of alambana pradhanam, that comma should not be there. आलम्बनस्य प्राधान्येन ध्यानम प्रतीकोपास्ति. So when Bhashyakara uses the word adhyasa, what is meant is pratikopasti. That pratika upasana, in which the pratika or the alambana has a pradhanyam, and that is what is meant by adhyasa there. Yatha brahmadrishtya manasah adityasya va. Yatha brahmadrishtya manasah. So where the mind becomes the manasah dhyanam. So alambanasya dhyanam. That is a better reading. Alambanasya dhyanam pratikopasti. So pradhanya dhyanam, where dhyanam or meditation is done on alambaram. That form of Lord Krishna is important, is beautiful form, and that is what I meditate upon. And while meditating upon that form, well, that is in my mind that whatever Lord Krishna stands for, in terms of love or beauty or joy. But while I am meditating upon love or beauty, joy and whatever, then that alambanasya pradhanyena dhyanam, meditation upon alambanam, dhyanam, where alambanam has predominance, that is called pratikopasti, is called pratikopasana, and here it is referred to as adhyasa by Bhashyakara. Because adhyasa is involved in sampadupasana also, but then here Bhashyakara uses the word adhyasa, it means pratikopasana. Yatha brahmadrishtya manasah dhyanam. Just as meditating upon the mind as if it is Brahman, adityasya va, or meditating upon Aditya or Surya or sun as though it is Brahman. Because some sadrusha is there. So mind also is some sadrusha with Brahman, mind also is pervasive, mind also is conscious. In that manner you see some similarity and then meditate upon mind to giving predominance to those aspects where similarity is. Or the sun has also sadrusha with God. Sun also is creator, sustainer of this earth and of the life form. In this manner, we look upon sun also as Ishvara. So meditation takes place upon sun with the idea of Brahma or Ishvara upon that. That will be called pratikopasana. Tatha aham brahma iti jnanam adhyasah. Similarly also, the Purupakshi says aham brahma. There the meditation takes place upon aham. Pradhanya remains of aham with a superimposition of certain attributes of Brahman like pervasiveness, etc. So aham Brahma also is upasana. That is what it said. It is not so. And that's what Bhashyakara says. Nacha adhyasa rupam yatha mano brahmetyupasita adityo brahmetyadeshah iti cha man adityadishu brahmadrishtyadyasah. Mano brahmetyupasita, may one meditate upon mind, as Brahman. Aditya Brahma iti adesha. Adesha is upadesha. So it is instruction that Aditya is Brahma, the sun is Brahma. So said pratikasya sampadbhedamaha, that abhedah sampaditi, abheda dhyanam or dhyana vishayibhutah abhedah va sampadityatah. That we discussed last time. Okay. Alright, so this is not bad. Then continuing further. Says Ratnaprabha, or Bhashyakara says on page 158, Napi Vishishta Kriya Yoga Nimittam Vayurvava Samvargaha Prano Vava Samvargaha Itivata. This Brahmatmaikya Vijnanam is all is referred to here. Na Adhyasa Rupam, na Sampad Rupam, na Vishishta Kriya Yoga Nimittam. This is what is meant there. So says third, that Brahmatmaikya or Aham Brahma, that knowledge is not some kind of a Vishishta Kriya Yoga Nimittam. So the illustration is given Vayurvava Samvargaha. So Samvarga is the place of merger. That will be explained. So this Vayu in which everything merges, or Vayu swallows everything at the time of Pralaya. So Vayu is meditated upon as Samvarga. Or there is in some Vayu, there is this quality of swallowing. And Prano Vava Samvarga. In the individual prana of the breath also, there is this aspect of swallowing. So may you look upon this prana as Vayu. Because there is a similarity between the two in terms of both of them are Samvarga. Meaning both of them, they swallow. Or in both of them, there is a merger. So on account of the similarity of the quality of merger, prana may be looked upon as Vayu. So what is the similarity here? Vishishta Kriya Yoga Nimittam. A Vishishta Kriya, some specific Kriya such as Samvaranam or swallowing or merger is involved both in Vayu as well as in Prana. And therefore that Dhyanam is what? Is Nimittam, is on account of this particular Nimitta, Vishishta Kriya Yoga. That there is a similarity of a specific kind of a Kriya involved, specific kind of an action or involved in both of them. So action is similar. That the qualities were there. In Manaha and Vishvedeva, certain qualities were similar. Or Aham and Brahma also, some attributes were similar. But in Prana and Vayu and other aspects, other things are also there. What is similar? The Kriya is similar. So where the meditation takes place with the help of Kriya, Vishishta Kriya Yoga Nimittam, Jnanam or Dhyanam, where the Nimitta or the purpose or the reason for the meditation is Vishishta Kriya Yoga. Association with a Vishishta Kriya. So that is also a Dhyanam anyway. That also involves only superimposition. So but then Dhyanam that involves Vishishta Kriya, that's all. Now this Ratnaprabha explains on page 157. Kriya Visheshaha Vishishta Kriya, that's what it is. A specific kind of a Kriya or activity. Taya Yogaha. With that Kriya, there is Yoga. An association with this kind of a Kriya. Nimittam, that association itself becomes Nimittam, or the cause of this meditation. That Vayu has an association with this Samvaranam, and Prana also has association with the same Kriya. And that association becomes Nimitta, or the cause for meditation. That is called Vishishta Kriya Yoga Nimittam Dhyanam. Nimittam yasya dhyanasya, that dhyanam has its nimitta in the yoga along with the Vishishta Kriya. Explains here, Yatha pralaya kale vayuhu agnyadin samvrunoti samharati samvargaha samvrunoti samvargaha. So that which swallows, that in which everything merges. Samharati, so that which destroys, you can say, or that which completely swallows within itself is called Samvarga. So this is how the bhava, vyutpatti is there. So yatha pralaya kale vayuhu agnyadin samvrunoti, just as at the time of pralaya, this vayu. So akasha, vayu, agni, apaha, prithvi. Naturally prithvi merges into apaha. Apaha merges into agni, and agni merges into vayu. This is how the kriya is at the time of pralaya or dissolution. There is a reverse process. Let us say that the purpose of describing creation is to enable us to resolve. Shruti gives us certain krama or order of creation. Etasmad aka atmanah akashah sambhutah. Akashad vayuhu, vayuhu agnihi, agnihi apah, adbhyah prithvi, and whatever. So why is this krama provided? Whether it is scientific or not. But the purpose of this krama or the sequence is to enable us to reverse that sequence. If the creation takes place in this sequence, then the merger must take place in a reverse sequence. To enable us, therefore, to merge everything into the source by way of understanding, either by way of meditation or by way of understanding. Seeing that Prithvi is nothing but water, or seeing that water is nothing but fire, or fire is nothing but Vayu, and Vayu is nothing but Akasha, Akasha is nothing but Atma, Atma is nothing but Brahma. In this manner, to enable us to see this effect as nothing but the cause in another form, or to meditate, in this case meditation. At the time of pralaya, everything resolves, the Prithvi into water, water into fire, and fire into Vayu, into the air. So such great ones as fire, etc., all of them are swallowed by Vayu. The Vayu is called Samvargaha. So Samvurnoti is Samvargaha. So that which swallows or includes everything within itself, that's what Vayu does at the time of Pralaya. Swapakale, when individual Pralaya takes place with an individual, Pranaha Vagadin Samharati. So what happens at the time of deep sleep? This prana, I mean the breath, that seems to swallow everything because nothing is functioning. Body is not functioning, sense organs are not functioning, mind also is not functioning in deep sleep. And therefore, all the sense organs, the vag, the manaha, all of these, they get merged into what? Into prana, which alone is functioning. So we may say that in the deep sleep, everything merges into prana. That merger is common in prana, everything merges at the time of deep sleep. In the air or the vayu, everything merges at the time of pralaya, and this is the common aspect between the vayu and prana. And similarly also, samharati samhara kriya yoga, on account of association or being endowed with samhara kriya, the kriya of destruction. Samvarga iti dhyanam chandogya vihitam. And therefore, each one is called samvarga. This kind of meditation is enjoined in Chandogya Upanishad. Tatha vruddhi kriya yogat jivo brahmeti jnanam iri. So somebody may say, in Brahma also, so bruhatvat, Brahma, bruhi vruddhau. So Brahma is that which is grown, or that which is vast. And Atma also is vast, only as far as the body is concerned, I guess, That is what is said here. So vruddhi kriya yogat jiva brahma iti dhyanam iti na napi. That's what the idea there. Says on the same page 158, Purnanandya adhidevatam vyakhyaya adhyatam vyakaroti swapakala iti. That full stop should not be there. Adhidevatam is vayu. Vyakhya adhyatam pranam vyakaroti swapakala iti. Na vruddhi kriya जीवस्य शरीर परिणाम हेतु परिणाम और परिमाण हेतुत्व रूपम यद ब्रह्मणत्वम तदात्मक वृद्धि क्रिया योगाद इत्यर्थः. परिणाम जीवस्य शरीर परिणाम हेतुत्व रूप ब्रह्मण मीन्स pervasiveness. So how getting converted into body is pervasiveness. Parimana is measure. That jiva is the size of the body, and so it pervades the body. And Brahma pervades everything, so pervasiveness. Brahmanatvam, so vruddhi, or jiva is grown into body. It looks to me like the jiva is pervading the body, and Brahma is pervading everything, so pervasiveness is tadatmaka vruddhi kriya yoga. Each one is associated with or because nowhere says that this body is made of jiva anyway, the world is made of Brahman, okay, but this body made of jiva, that kind of a thing we don't hear. So that this body is a modification of jiva, that kind of thing is not common. The world may be a modification of Brahman, alright. If that is what one looks upon, I don't know. That body is the modification of jiva. But vruddhi of course in the sense of pervasiveness, or vruddhi in the sense of growing, I guess. So let us say that body is that in which jiva pervades and Brahma also pervades. So pervasiveness being the common aspect, then one looks upon jiva as Brahma. Then says Purnanandya further, Brahmatmaikya jnanasya. This for your information that these kind of meditations are there. Nobody does it nowadays. But in the Upanishads, these various kinds of meditations are mentioned. And therefore the question arises, is meditation the primary message of the Upanishads? Or the real identity is the message? There are so many such statements also, where even though the identity is not there, the Upanishad is asking us to look upon the two things as one. So even though there is a bheda, we are asked to meditate as though they are abhinna. And similarly, how do we know that Aham Brahma also is not like that? That question would arise. So which is the predominant statement of the Upanishad? Aham Brahma is predominant or Mano Brahmet Vipasita? Which is the primary statement? Those people will say Mano Brahmetyupasite is the primary statement. And therefore, Aham Brahma should be also Aham Brahmeri Upasita. This is how it must be converted. So, Brahmatmaikya Jnanasya Sampad Rupatvam, Adhyas Rupatvam, Samvarga Dhyan Rupatvam cha na sambhavati. That Brahmatmaikya Jnanam is not like Sampad Upasana, not Adhyas Rupat Pratika Upasana, or Samvarga Dhyanam meditation like Samvarga. न संभवति प्रतिपादक भाष्यम व्याख्याय संप्रति संस्कार रूपत्वम न संभवति whatever. That maybe you want to purify this Atma by looking upon that as Brahma. Is it so that Atma is to be purified by looking upon it as Brahma? That's also being done. Samskara rupatvam na sambhavati iti pratipadakam bhashyam vyakhyati yatha patni iti. So this is samskara rupam. Says Ratna Prabha यथा पत्न्यवेक्षितमाज्यम भवति इति उपांशुयागादि अंगस्य आज्यस्य संस्कारकम अवेक्षणम विहितम. So it is upanshuyaga, and in other yagas also, one of the things, of course, you have to offer this ajya or the ghee as an oblation. But before offering this ghee as oblation to the fire, it must be samskritam, meaning it must be sanctified or purified. Some samskara must be done. So how are the samskaras done? That Yajmana Patni should look at the ghee, and that is how the ghee gets purified or whatever happens to it. Some samskara happens. So these kind of things are there, There's taking the ghee in the hand and looking at it. Now you would think it is funny. Suppose a modern person looks at a person taking ghee and looking at it, he thinks there is something wrong there, ये क्या कर रहा है? Why should you look at that? But then some samskara is involved there. So patni avekshitam ajyam, that the yajmana patni looks at the ghee, and that is how the ghee becomes samskritam, and then it is offered as oblation, I guess. So samskarakam avekshanam vihitam. That avekshanam, that the yajmana's wife must look at the ghee, that is for the purpose of samskara. Similarly also, Atmavara Drashtavya, So, Atma also must be seen like that. Like that Patni sees ghee, so also you must see Atma, Atmavara Drashtavya. And just as the samskara happens, people have to find something, And similarly also, for samskara of the Atma, this kind of ikshanam. So this kind of darshanam is there. The stress, there is a Patni avekshanam, this ghee avekshanam. So also, Atma avekshanam is involved. तथा कर्मणि कर्तृत्वेन अंगस्य आत्मनः संस्कारार्थम ब्रह्मज्ञानम. Somebody may say. So also, before any karma is done with that ghee, how samskara must take place. So also, before the yajmana proceeds to perform the karma, samskara must take place in the atma by first looking upon atma as Brahma, and then he must perform karma. What relation that has with karma? That's all. So either this is just some kind of insistent, or this is some kind of a Purva-paksha. Just to exclude any possibility at all. Because people who are wedded only to analysis at the level of words, they will apply only rules of Mimamsa and try to interpret things. Moment you adopt some kind of a tool in your hand, then often the tool becomes more important than even what is sought to be conveyed by the tool. Like the Nayayikas, they will take inference as a tool and apply it anywhere. And if inference is not applicable, they will dismiss everything. Says, no, that is the primary thing. And so the Purva Mimamsakas will, for them, Mimamsa is important. More than Vedas even, Mimamsa becomes important in that sense that there are certain rules of interpretation of the statements, and according to those rules they will want to interpret, and that's all. So Atmavara Drashtavya. Therefore, Atma Samskara must be done, something like that. So whether such a Purva Paksha is there or not, we do not know. But anyway, तथा कर्मणि कर्तृत्वेन अंगस्य आत्मा. People cannot be so ridiculous. That's why we have to give them some benefit, that people can, somebody think like this, we do not know. But kartrutvena angasya atma, it depends on our samskaras also. We are so much imbibed with the idea of Jiva Brahma Aikyam that all of this way of thinking appears to be ridiculous to us. To them perhaps the idea of Jiva Brahma Aikyam is equally ridiculous. How can you say you are Brahman? You are a karta, bhokta, you are performing this karma, you will go to heavens after the death of this body. What do you mean you are Brahman? So it is so ridiculous to them that they have to find some interpretation of that. Just as Viditatmananda Nirnaya, that Upanishads only convey the identity, we take every and any statement and interpret it in our own way. And so also, because of their commitment that the Vedas must all convey some kind of an action, they will be able to take every and any sentence and be able to interpret it in a certain way. And that is how it's a matter of one's commitment. They cannot stand the idea that Atma is Brahma. It's just ridiculous. Doesn't make sense. It contradicts every experience. At no moment do I take myself to be Brahman. If I am Brahman, someday I should think about it. I never do. How can it be? If I am Brahman and I know myself intimately, how can you say that I am Brahman when I know myself to be different? So you cannot contradict this intimate experience. And therefore they cannot accept this. So that cannot be Tatparya. How can Shruti contradict something that you experience it as your own self? Therefore, there has to be an alternative interpretation. So it is your being saturated with certain ideas, and that is how everything else looks ridiculous. But depends upon what idea you are saturated with. Very often we find other people ridiculous and funny, because how can you talk like this and how can you think like this? But it may not be the case with them, And so we have to sometimes appreciate, be sensitive to other people also, that they may not necessarily have the same orientation that we have. Not only in case of Vedanta, in case of life also, And so they may have a different orientation. And to ridicule somebody because that person does not, exhibit the same orientation sometimes becomes rather, unfair. That's all it is. So yatha patnyavekshitam ajyam bhavatiti upamshayagadi angasya ajyasya samskarakam avekshanam vihitam tatha karmane kartrutvena angasya atmana samskaratham brahmajnanam na. So don't take brahmajnanam to be meant for that purpose of samskara. That's what Bhashyakara says up there. Samskarakam is adrushta janakam. What is meant by samskara there? Sanctification or purification, adrushta janakam. That's why when you look at the ghee, some adrushta is generated. However it is, we cannot say that. This all Vedas alone can say. What adrushta can be generated by looking at ghee? But must be there. So why do they always ask this question? Why do they ask us to do 4 achamanis, and 3 at this time, 4 at that time? I said, I have no idea, But anyway, something must be happening there. Somebody must have seen, just as all these whole Vedas are seen by the Rishis. Therefore, Rishis also have seen this karma as happening in a certain way. And therefore, you can find some funny things happening in this karma kanda, Particularly our Brahmins, in North India. Yajma and the Patni, both of them are seated there, to perform some ritual. And you ask them to do, you ask them, the Brahmins, to make them do different things. They say, all right, now come on, 3 times, strike the earth, with the left foot. That's what they ask you to do. And something you wonder, why is it so? What does this have to do with this yaga that you are performing? It must have something to do, we do not know that, and I assume that somebody knows about it, but then the thing is, you just cannot see any relevance at all. Sometimes you just reverse your hand and do things, And all of these things we find people doing, and we call them funny. When a person does funny things like this, or like that, and so forth, normally we think there is something funny here, something there. But this kind of thing we find in Karma Kanda happening, We don't call them funny, we say adrushta janakam. So that generates a particular kind of adrushta. Some kind of a unseen effect is generated. So that's what is samskaraka means what? Adrushta janakam ityartha. Says karmarambasmay aham brahmasmi upasana rupam brahmatma jnanam avashyakam. Karmarambasmay, at the time of beginning of karma, aham brahmasmi upasana, that meditation, I am Brahma, that upasana rupam brahmajnanam avashyakam. This upasana before the beginning of karma is necessary. Tena kartari samskara dwara. So in the karta, some samskara, some adrushta is generated. karma karanam adrushtam janyate. Maybe that this Brahma Dhyanam or Brahma Darshanam generates adrushta, or when this Yajamana, after this Brahma Darshanam, this meditation performs the karma, then that karma generates a certain adrushta, which otherwise would not be generated. That karma will not generate adrushta unless this is done. So, samskara dvara karma karanam adrushtam janyate. Tasmad upasana paratvam vedantanam iti shankitu abhiprayah. And therefore, this vedantanam upasana paratvam. Therefore, they say Vedantas are meant for upasana. This is the shankitu abhiprayah. And this is said by Bhashyakara. Napi ajyavekshanadi karmavata karmanga samskara rupam napi, not also ajya avekshanadi karmavat, like a karma of seeing this ajya or the ghee, karmanga samskara rupam. Karmanga is atma, karmanga rupa hai atma, atmana samskara rupam. That atma is karmanga, meaning is one of the accessories in the karma. The karta is one of the accessories. Then karma, karanam, all of these are different accessories in accomplishment of any karma. So atma is a karmanga, meaning he is anga or one of the elements in karma. And everything in the karma or the ritual must go through samskara. They never offer anything without samskara. So ajya also undergoes samskara of seeing. And other dravyas, they also are some prokshanam and things like that are done for the samskara of everything that is offered. So everything that is involved in performance of yaga, all those karakas, they all undergo samskaras. Earth also, where the Veda is made, there also some samskara must be there. So some kind of prokshanam and some samskara must be there, and then alone they will make that Veda with the bricks, and then also some samskaranam will take place, because things as they are never used, some samskaranam or sanctification is done. So just as all the karmanga, all the elements involved in the karma, all of them undergo the process of samskaranam, so the karta also is one of the elements in karma. So he should also undergo the process of samskaranam. How would he do that? Therefore, Brahma Darshanam, meditate upon Atma is Brahma, and that is how samskara is done upon the Atma, the Yajmana. And then when he performs the karma, then that karma generates a specific adrushta, which otherwise would not be generated. So we say that that is not the case. Why is that so? Pratigna chatushtaya hetumah. So far Bhashyakara has only made statement. Not so, not so, not sampad, not adhyasa, not vishishta kriya yoga, not the samskaranam. Why? You must give hetu. Pratigna chatushtaya hetumah. 4 pratignyas are done. What are the 4 pratignya? Sampad, pratika, and then kriya yoga, and then the samskaranam. None of this is meant in the statement Aham Brahmasmi. Why do you say that? Therefore the 4 hetus or the 4 reasons are given there. Sampadadirupehi Brahmatmaikatva Vijnane Abhyupagamyamane Tattvamasi Aham Brahmasmi Ayamatma Brahma Ityevamadinam Vakyyanam Brahmatmaikatva Vastu Pratipadana Paraha Padasamanvayaha Pidyeta. Pidyeta means Badhyeta. This will be contradicted, this will be falsified. What? This Brahmatmaikatvastu Pratipadana Paraha Padasamanvayaha. Padasamanvaya. Pada means the words. Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahma Asmi. 3 words are there. Or Tat Tvam Asi. 3 words are there. And all these words, this Tat and Tvam, or Aham and Brahma, they are what we call Samanadhikaranya. In the same Adhikaranam, the same locus, In this case, the nominative singular is a locus for all these, and that conveys identity between them. This Samanadikaranam is explained there. Says the Purnananda Samanadikaranam Padayoho Samanadikaranyam Eka Vibhaktikatve Sati Ekartha Bodhakatva Rupam Vakyahi Upacharyate Tathacha. So, Padayoho Samanadikaranyam. Pada means words. What is Samanadikaranyam of the words? Eka Vibhaktikatve Sati Ekartha Bodhakatva Rupam. So, भिन्न पदानाम समान विभक्तिकानाम भिन्न पदानाम एकस्मिन् अर्थे तात्पर्यम सामानाधिकरण्यम. भिन्न पदानाम, with different words which are not paryaya, which are not synonyms, but then all of them convey their own meaning. So, भिन्न पदानाम, भिन्न प्रवृत्ति निमित्तानाम पदानाम. So, all the words which have different pravritti or different thing to convey, samana vibhaktikanam, all of them are placed in same vibhakti of the locus. Ekasmin arthe tatparyam. When their purport tatparya is in ekasmin arthe, in one artha or one object alone, then that is called samanadikaranyam. Prakrishta prakashas chandra. That prakrishta prakasha and chandra, each one of them conveys one object. Chandra also conveys one shining object. Prakasha also conveys in that sense by lakshana vritti a shining object, and prakrishta also conveys the same shining object. Not that prakrishta prakasha, that prakrishta becomes a visheshana of prakasha or something. Each one of them conveys one object alone, one thing. So, samana vibhaktikanam bhinna padanam ekasmin arthe tatparyam samanadikaranyam. Same thing is eka vibhaktikatve sati ekartha bodhakatvam. So, various padas, different words, they are placed in the same vibhakti, and all of them convey the same meaning, meaning all of them convey the same object, same locus. This is called ekartha bodhakatvam samanadikaranyam.